My Dad's War, 1939 to 1945. One of the last photos taken of my dad shows the two of us standing at the tail of a B-17 Flying Fortress at a local air show. His enthusiasm for flying began as a schoolboy visiting his aunt in England, when he took this photograph of an Imperial Airways Handley Page 42 passenger aircraft at Croydon Airport as it prepared to take off on a 2-hour flight to Le Bourget Airport in France. His involvement with the military began in 1932 and ended in 1935 as a reserve member of the Transvaal Scottish, an active citizen force regiment based in Johannesburg. However, learning to fly an aircraft was his driving ambition. He eventually earned his private pilot's license in 1935 by learning to fly several light aircraft, including these de Havilland Tiger Moths seen here at Baragwanath Aerodrome just outside Johannesburg. 2 years later, as a qualified pilot, he joined South African Airways and is seen here, second from the left, as a member of the crew standing in front of the Erasmus Smith, a German-built tri-motor Junkers Ju-52 passenger aircraft. South African Airways later upgraded its passenger fleet to include the twin-engine Junkers Ju-86 passenger aircraft. The outbreak of the Second World War saw South Africa convert its Ju-86 passenger aircraft into bombers for service with the South African Air Force in the campaign against Italian forces in Somaliland and Ethiopia. My dad joined 12 Bomber Squadron South African Air Force and is photographed here, fifth from the left, being briefed for an attack on an Italian base in the town of Moyale on the Kenya-Abyssinia border. One of the many tasks given to 12 Squadron aircrew was the shuttling of men and supplies from South Africa to the front in the campaign against the Axis powers in North Africa. On this flight, engine failure forced my dad's Lockheed Lodestar to make a forced landing in the bush near the town of Mbeya in Tanganyika. Photo shows my dad and his crew brewing cups of tea, sheltering in the shade of a wing while the flight engineer fixed the problem. Later, having cleared the spar scrub to create a makeshift runway, the Lodestar was able to resume its journey. Now a captain, my father, together with several South African Air Force personnel, was seconded to the Royal Air Force Coastal Command's Operation Training Unit in Northern Ireland. Sailing in October 1943 on the motor vessel Highland Brigade and dodging U-boats, my dad and his fellow airmen arrived safely in Britain. Posted to RAF Coastal Command bases Killadees and Castle Archdale on Loch Earn in Northern Ireland, my dad received operational training on the Consolidated Catalina, a twin-engine long-range flying boat. My dad, centre front row with a crew of fellow South Africans, were transferred to 210 Squadron and posted to RAF Solemn Voe, near the village of Bray in the Shetland Islands, north of Scotland. The Shetlands must have come as quite a shock to sun-loving South Africans. On the 24th of May 1944, while on one of many anti-submarine patrols over the North Sea, the Catalina my dad was flying, JX-255, spotted the wake of a German U-boat off Namsos on the coast of Norway. As he dived the Catalina down to 100 feet to drop depth charges, the U-boat opened fire with its multiple 20mm anti-aircraft guns, but despite coning the Catalina and possibly due to fire from the Catalina's forward 303 machine guns, the U-boat gunners failed to score any hits. At the last moment, the U-boat, probably hoping to avoid the attack, turned hard to port, but was unable to avoid the full pattern of depth charges, which, falling close to its starboard side, fatally damaged the vessel. Fire from the .50 Browning machine guns on the Catalina prevented the U-boat's deck crew from again manning their anti-aircraft guns. The gunners also reported that the U-boat had stopped and was sinking slowly by the stern as a sudden snow squall hid the vessel from their view. My dad's Catalina continued circling until their fuel supply forced a return to Sullom Voe. I believe my dad was nominated to receive the Distinguished Flying Cross for his attack on U-476, but so far as I know he never received this award. I am currently making inquiries with the RAF in this regard. It was not until many years after my dad's death that I learned what happened to the crew of U-476 and its commander, Oberleutnant Otto Neathman. Apparently their call for help was answered by another U-boat, the U-990, which picked up Neathman and 21 survivors. Then, to prevent its capture, U-990 torpedoed and sank the crippled 476. While returning to Trondheim, the U-990 was attacked and sunk by a B-24 Liberator from 59 Squadron. A German patrol boat from Trondheim managed to pick up 51 survivors, including Oberleutnant Neathman and 18 crew members from U-476. Oberleutnant zur See, Otto Neathman, with members of his crew and naval technicians at the commissioning of the U-476 at the Deutsche Werke boatyard in the port of Kiel on the Baltic. Neathman passed away in 1977, my dad in 1999, so it's quite likely neither man had ever heard of each other. After the war, my dad went on to fly for South African Airways and several other airlines, including El Al. However, due to a hearing loss, a problem common to many ex-servicemen, he retired from flying in 1965. He passed away in Canada in 1999.